You know, there's this age-old debate among fighters, a question that's been thrown around in dojos and gyms forever. But today, the answer we're going to look at doesn't come from some ancient mountain monastery. Nope, it comes from a place you would never, ever expect.
So what is it? What is the single most effective martial art on the planet? Is it the pure, brutal power of Muay Thai? The absolute ground dominance of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Maybe the lightning-fast strikes of Karate? It's a debate that, let's be honest, never really ends.
But what if we're all asking the wrong question? What if the ultimate answer isn't some traditional art passed down for centuries, but instead an engineered weapon built from the ground up for raw, unfiltered, real-world violence? And that brings us to a really fascinating and, frankly, brutal new contender. It's making waves for all the right reasons, and maybe all the wrong ones too.
It's called Tetsuryoku-Ryu. Roughly, that translates to Iron Force style. And here's the thing, its creators don't even call it an art. They call it combat engineering. Its entire reason for being is to end a life-or-death fight in seconds, and it's all built on one single devastating principle.
So this is the core of it. The entire system is built around what it calls an anatomical cheat code, basically a law of physics that can be weaponized. They call it the 45-degree truth, and the idea is actually pretty simple. The human body, right? It's really strong against forces from the front or the side, but it has this massive vulnerability when force hits it at a 45-degree angle. This creates what they call a dead drone, an angle where you can just completely shatter an opponent's balance with almost no effort. It's kind of shocking.
And this isn't just about, pushing someone over. This 45-degree angle is designed to hit the skeleton's absolute weakest point. It hijacks the attacker's own momentum and uses it against them. And, maybe most important, it triggers what the system calls neural overload, that split second of pure panic when your brain just screams, "I'm falling and I can't stop."
This really gets to the core philosophy. They throw out any idea of mystical energy or anything like that. It's not about chi. It's about cold, hard physics. Pure leverage, structural alignment, and just brutal, bone-on-bone impact. And this ruthless focus on physics and just breaking things down is exactly why its followers wear its most shocking label as a badge of honor.
This difference is everything. Look, in sport fighting, you've got soft mats, you've got padded gloves. But Tetsuryoku-Ryu is designed for what it calls the concrete variable, and it totally rejects the glove delusion. It works on the principle that in a real fight, the ground isn't a playground, it's a grave. So if sport fighting is like chess, this is a shotgun.
And they are chillingly clear about why. To quote their own manual, if this system were used in a cage, the fight would last 4 seconds, someone would end up with a catastrophic injury, like a detached retina or a shattered spine, and the audience would be horrified. It's just not made for sport.
Okay, so that's the theory. But how does it actually play out in practice? Let's run a little tactical simulation, one pulled directly from the system's own analysis. So here's the scenario. One Tetsuryoku-Ryu black belt versus 5 armed shinobi, basically ninjas, in a dark warehouse. It sounds like something out of a movie, but the breakdown is all physics.
So, the ambush kicks off. Shuriken are flying through the air, but the practitioner doesn't dodge, doesn't try to catch them. They use something called the Iron Guard to protect their vitals, and they move in a 45-degree zigzag, closing the distance, fast. The first ninja pulls a sword. He lunges. The practitioner doesn't block. He steps inside the attack, again at 45 degrees. The sword is now useless. The ninja's whole structure is jammed up. A single punch shatters his ribs. 1 down. Suddenly, a smoke bomb goes off. Total darkness. But sight doesn't matter. The practitioner feels the vibrations through the floor, pivots, and intercepts the next attacker, using that guy's own momentum to slam him into a brick wall. 2 down. The last 3 rush in together, no hesitation. One is grabbed and uses a human shield. The next one goes down with a brutal leg-snapping kick to the knee, and the last is finished with precise tactical stomps. Fight's over.
Now that whole simulation just highlights how effective the system is supposed to be. But the most shocking part of Tetsuryoku-Ryu isn't how it works, it's how it was made.
See, it's like a Frankenstein's monster of deadly martial arts. It takes the hardcore conditioning from Kyokushin karate, the geometric pivots of Aikido, the science of breaking balance from Judo, and the devastating elbows and knees of Muay Thai. It's a synthesis of what works.
So the natural question is, right? Who was the legendary grandmaster who spent a lifetime on a mountaintop, synthesizing all these deadly arts into one perfect system?
Well, the answer is nobody. Here's a direct quote from the founder, Jarrod A. Freeman. So yeah, I pretty much ran the ideas into a chat GPT and created Tetsuryoku-Ryu. And he even adds, I am a black belt? IDK, ha ha ha. And that right there reveals what's so disruptive about this whole thing. It wasn't born from centuries of sacred tradition. It was born from human insight, a ton of research, and the unbelievable synthesizing power of AI. It's a martial art for the 21st century.
Which leaves us with one really fascinating question to think about. If a system's principles are sound, if its physics check out, and its results are brutally effective, does it even matter if its master was a machine? In this age of AI, what does it truly mean for a martial art to be real?